All right. Now on to another headliner. Palace, home underdog, plus 225. Spurs plus 120 on the road. The draw is plus 240. Anthony,
I think Tottenham might be bad, Michael.
I don't,
I think
I
they
want
might be. I don't know. I'm starting to come around to, hey, they might not be that good.
they definitely didn't look it. And they're I think we talked about it a little bit in the last episode. They're like an eye test team where you can just watch a game and you're like, this team is just, they're not at the races. It feels like they've been at the races 50% of the season. And we're now 16 games in. I still think like as an underdog against better teams, like they'll be worth it when you get good prices. But man, they got 10 more points to get to 40, Anthony. They better get there.
Yeah, I might even be out on them as an underdog nowadays, the way they play under pressure and the way they retain the ball and connect the counterattacking situations. And the fact that Lloris is not regressing. He might just be washed, except when he plays for France, of course. But yeah, I mean, this is hard because the market has downgraded Tottenham significantly after the loss to Villa. And even before that, Spurs were minus 105 here, minus 110-ish. Then they had the poor showing on Boxing Day and it moved to plus 110. Then they had the poor showing against Villa and it moved to plus 120. And now we just keep going lower and lower. And now we're betting into a market that is clearly downgrading Spurs and has them as like the 7th best team in the league. And to make matters worse, Palace hasn't really been all that impressive this season either. And I've downgraded them as well. So I'm actually going to take a total here instead of a side, because I do like the matchup of this Palace defense against this Spurs attack. The Spurs attack, nobody can pass. The only person who can pass for Tottenham is Harry Kane. And Harry Kane, to quote Giselle from the Super Bowl loss, talking about Tom Brady, he cannot play the pass and receive the pass in the penalty area at the same time. And it's a big problem because you look at the players that they're playing and they're not very good at passing to him. And when you take out, like, it makes me think back to last season, the fullbacks were in really good form. Teams hadn't really adjusted to Conte ball. Son was in insane finishing form and he was in just better progress. Like he was just doing more to progress the ball. And Kane was the benefactor of that and whatnot. So Spurs are really, really good, but Son regresses. The fullbacks aren't as dominant. And there's nobody where they get the ball and you're like, that's the person who's going to beat the man. Whether it's like an Odegaard for Arsenal, who's going to play the pass, or Fernandez or Rashford running at somebody. Like there's just not that in Tottenham right now. And it makes it very hard to break down a good low defensive block, a team who's willing to sit off and cede pressure and cede the ball to you. And you even go to the match against Brentford, the only chances came off just hoofing the ball forward and winning aerial duels. So yeah, I like the under 2.5. I looked at Spurs team total under 1.5. I actually almost bet that today. I was mad I didn't, but I think Spurs attack has a problem here. They could win this 1-0. Wouldn't surprise me. The defense is not nearly as bad as the recent record has suggested. Teams have run really well against Tottenham, especially early in games. But yeah, I find it hard to believe Tottenham gets more than 1 here. So I'm going to go under 2.5.
I like Palace. I think this is.
I don't blame you. I don't blame anybody who bets Palace. I really don't.
At Crystal Palace. It's a good price to go against.
Because we don't know where the bottom is.
Yeah, we don't know where the
bottom is. I don't think we're there.
We also are dealing with a manager. Like there are certain managers where when things start to spiral, they're just not really stabilizers. Let's say. Like I wouldn't say that Antonio Conte is the type of manager I'd want to bet on in this spot.
I don't know.
I mean, he's not,
because last year we had the same conversation. Remember, like they lost a couple of games in January and everybody was like, oh no, like he's already ready to leave. And then they won like 8 in a row and got top 4.
Yeah, but that was more about, I think that was more about like him like because there were rumors that he wanted to leave right away. This is like more of like a team level thing. Like I don't think he's just not the type of manager that like I would trust in this kind of situation when he's been there for a while already too, right? Like that we know he puts the team through the paces. They just come back from the World Cup, a lot of them. You know, you think about Perisic and Kane, like those guys had, and Son, like they just left it all out there. So it's just like I just don't know how you get up on a individual level to then give your all for this guy who took away condiments from you in the you know in the training camps, stuff like that. So it just feels like I think you put it right. You don't know where the bottom is, and with him at the helm, like I question just how far they can go before things start to turn around.
It's gotten so bad that Arsenal was like minus 100 in the derby at Arsenal, and I think BJ said Arsenal was inflated, and I don't know that
they were.
And now Arsenal's going to be even money on the road at White Hart Lane.
Yeah,
and I'm probably going to have to bet Tottenham. So that's where we're at now.
I'm going to be on Palace. BJ, what are your thoughts here?
No, I'm gonna be on Palace too. You know, our lovely sponsors, Bet365. It keeps coming up on my Twitter feed that Mauricio Pochettino is 2-1 to manage a Premier League club in 2023. So that should tell you where things are at right now. But
the Poch era was the best era. I mean,
so we're at what 10 straight matches that Tottenham has conceded first. Am I correct on that one? It happened again today. I think what you're seeing is that just Tottenham was finishing at a crazy rate throughout the beginning of the season, and then it's kind of just fallen off. Like they are around 33 goals off around 26.5 expected. So that finishing has gone off. And if you look through the injuries, like it's not going to get any better offensively with the guys Tottenham has out, like Richarlison's out, Kulusevski's out, Bentancur is out. It's a dicey situation against Palace, who, yeah, they haven't been that great this season, but again, they're still have been playing pretty well against the big six at home. So this is just a classic Palace at home, who played a lot better against Bournemouth. And what worries me though, and what I spoke about in the last podcast, is that Palace, we see them, their expected goals numbers defensively, they're sitting around 15th, 14th best in the Premier League, and a lot of that is just because they've conceded over 2 expected goals to really good attacks. Well, I don't know if we put Tottenham in that category right now. That's the big question. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like Palace plus 225. I'm finally coming around. I don't think, I've been on this, the market hates Tottenham. Oh my gosh, like we have to buy low. I'm not buying low anymore. I'm just gonna fade them and see if it works out.
I would argue we haven't even regressed. I mean, we've been scoring goals off of nothing. Set pieces,
that's true.
Crazy stuff. I mean, the Bournemouth win comes to mind. The Brentford draw. The Leeds game was preposterous.
Everton.
But I think today was kind of that was the only game we played well. I think today was we were at the races that day. That's for sure. That game and I'm looking at the schedule. That was it. I guess we played well against Liverpool, even though we lost. So yeah, that's been
United. Is United a favorite for top 4 now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. As they should be.
Yeah, no, they should be.